Today I'm going to talk about the law of attraction, and next week I'm going to talk about some of the essentials for it to be able to work. It's an interesting kind of a thing, how exciting this has become for a lot of people. And there's nothing new in it. It is no secret. It's information that's been around for thousands of years, and its concepts have been articulated in all of the Enlightenment traditions of the world. And yet somehow or another, it has secreted itself. These ideas have been secreted within the deeper wells of consciousness of people, and just this phenomenon of this movie that's come along is beginning to stir things up and bring it to the surface where people are looking at things and they're saying, yes, this is true. I know it's true. So they're hungry. And it is so exciting. I just have to stop here for a moment and tell you, I am so excited about this. It's like after being in the ministry for 30 years, after having been exposed to these teachings for 45 years, I can remember and re-experience the feelings I had when I first discovered these principles, and I'm jazzed. It's like, I've been born again, folks. Not in the sense that a lot of people tend to think of it, but maybe so. Maybe it is. Maybe I just haven't understood what the others have been talking about. And yet, there's been a lot of resistance that has been brought up. Not a lot of resistance. Well, there's one article that I'm familiar with that was in Newsweek magazine, and they did quite a bit with it online, on the internet. And It's interesting, but this one article has been quoted over and over and over and interpreted, and all kinds of comments on it. And the article was entitled "Is the Secret a Lie?" And I had talked very briefly about this in the first session. But I want to read something to you here that was stated by a Harvard psychologist by the name of Carol Kaufman. She says something that I absolutely believe, totally. She says, no, this I don't believe. Basically, it is chaos theory. I don't think she knows what chaos theory is, but that's okay. Then she goes on and she says, I don't think you can attract things to you, but if you are profoundly open to opportunity, then when ambiguous events occur, you notice them. I think what positive thinking does is raise your consciousness to the possibilities. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. We're raising our consciousness to the possibilities that are around us. But it is more than that. And we will get to that in a little while. And this, of course, is where the big arguments come in. And I'm not going to address those that want to show us where we're wrong. Today we're going to be talking about on the theme of the law of attraction. And I'm going to go over 4 basic points. The first one is there is a basic principle. That is, there is one infinite power and presence within which we all live and move and have our being. The second is, and that power and presence is very personal. It is expressed through love as well as a lot other things. Nothing more personal than love. And we're talking about the love of God, the love of the universe. And then the second point that I want to discuss is there is an impersonal aspect to it that makes it all possible. Makes it possible to activate that principle, the law of attraction, in your life. And then I'll discuss some few general comments on that. And then the third point is I want to talk about a model for how this can really work that was useful for me years ago when I discovered this, and I thought that I was the only one that ever knew this, until I find that everybody else who's thought about this very much has come up with the same thing. And Michael Beckwith, on one of his interviews with Oprah, said the same thing. And I said, doggone it, Michael, did you steal that from me? I mean, he wasn't there. He was on television, of course. And then finally, I'm going to talk about the process that we talked about last week, the formula, ask, believe, receive, and just to kind of tie things together. First of all, let's look at the basic principle. This basic principle is that there is one infinite power that is all around us. It permeates all of time and space. It is it. There is nothing other than that. And we are made in its image and likeness. We call it God. Some people call it the infinite intelligence. It's known by all different names through different Enlightenment traditions. But there is this one thing. It is without limit. and we are one with it. We're made in its image and likeness, which means that we are characterized by what characterizes it. Now, one of the wonderful things about this is that this power, this principle, this intelligence knows no favorites. It doesn't matter who you are, what your religion is. You know, there is no chosen people, there is no chosen race, there is no right religion. This intelligence, doesn't give a hoot. All it does is love. And that is a very personal kind of an interaction. So that's the principle. Now, there's another aspect to this principle or this power and presence, and that is a very impersonal aspect. And that impersonal aspect is what makes possible our ability to be able to experience life and experience it fully. Let's look at that impersonal aspect. It's called the law. Now, interestingly, we are addressing this morning the law of attraction, but there are many, many other laws, aren't there? No. There's one law. There is what Ernest Holmes and others for the ages have referred to as the law of cause and effect. There's a law of manifestation. There's a law of correspondence. There's the law of mental equivalence. There's a law of mind action, is a term that Raymond Charles Barker used, a great religious science minister, the late Charles Barker. And there is the law of attraction, which is just another statement or expression of the same idea. And you'll see as we go through how, and the most common term is the law of cause and effect. But this idea of attraction is very excited right now because people think I've come along and all of a sudden I realize that there's ability for me to be able to do the right thing, say the right words, be introduced to the principles by the right wisdom teachers, and I'm going to be able to set my thoughts in such a way I'm going to attract everything to me. Well, kind of. But that is the law of cause and effect, working in its own way. But I like the idea of law of attraction because I like the idea of being able to pull something to me. There are various descriptions of this. Like attracts like. Birds of a feather flock together. You've got it. You know the law of attraction. People have talked about it for years and years. Thoughts become things. Exactly. And one that I really like, what you think about, you bring about. That's right. It's all speaking to the law of attraction. What you give your attention to is where the power of the universe is going to go, and it's a manifesting power, and it will produce or create the circumstances within which and around which you are going to, or with which you are going to be able to pull into your experience what you need to experience. Now, a couple of facts about the law itself. It never ends. You don't turn it off and turn it on. Just like the law of gravity. You don't turn the law of gravity on and turn the law of gravity off. It just is. And it's an always present field of influence, like the law of gravity again. Of course, gravity, you have to have substance, don't you? You have to have bodies attracting each. Don't misinterpret this now, like the sun and the earth is what I'm talking about. This law of attraction, this law of cause and effect is infinite in its extent. If God is unlimited, then the aspect of God that we call law must also be unlimited. It is without bounds. It is infinite. It is always working. I've already implied that. It's totally dependable. That is, it's going to do what it does today, what it did yesterday, and what it'll do 10,000 years from now. And it is totally, or it gives totally reproducible results. If I do today in the same manner that I did yesterday, I'm going to get the same result. Isn't that wonderful? And isn't it scary? Because we can look and see we have been reproducing in our experience some things over and over and over. If you continue to do the way you've done before, you're going to get the same results. If you are very success-minded, if you are very open and inclusive, if you are very loving and grateful for life, and I can go on and on, you're going to experience more and more of the same. If you're fearful, if you believe in lack and limitation, what are you doing? You're creating an atmosphere that's going to attract the same sort of thing into your life.